lesson. Okay, so last week we worked with our proportions. Now, if you were in class and didn't get to hear it, times when proportions are used in our everyday lives, one of the most popular is scaled drawing with architecture. That is something that they will use proportions to figure out how should they really be representing their drawing. Another time is cooking. You'll use proportions if you're trying to enlarge or shorten your recipes. Okay, so today we are going to continue with doing our cross products of our to solve our proportions and then making your one-step equation. So here was an entrance ticket. Okay, if you went and did this, you ended up getting your two equations. You have to multiply your x. Let me get my pen. So you know you how to do those two, and then you do those two. Nice little butterfly effects. I heard some said that in sixth grade they heard it called that. Okay, so then you got your one-step equations, and then you broke it down, dividing both sides because you want these here to cancel. The whole reason is to get the variable by itself, and then you ended up with your answer. Now, when you have a repeating decimal, you want to look to see where if it says to round. Okay, so did our instructions say round to the nearest hundredth? So let's talk place value for a hot second. Okay, so your hundredth is this one right here. Okay, you have your ones, your tens, your hundredths. So then when you go to round, you actually look at the number after it. If it is 5 or higher, that 0 goes up to a 1. If this 8 was a 4 or less, the 0 would have stayed. Okay, and then this is our approximate symbol there because we have a round. It's not 100% equal, so we use approximation. All right, so let's do some more practice with that. We are going to solve proportions. It is times in, with all of our proportional and non-proportional relationships. That is a key here. Okay? All of them have some type of relationship to them, and we're trying to compare them. Remember, with doing y divided by x to find out if it is proportional. Your table is if they all become the same ratio, and our graphs if it goes through our origin and it is a straight line. Okay, so we are going into still chapter 1, going in with some more notes. Okay, so here are today's notes. So a proportion is an equation. Okay, we're making an equation because we have that equal sign that states that two ratios are equivalent. To determine whether a pair of ratios form a proportion, we're going to use our cross products. You can use cross products to solve any proportion. Whereas we've used other concepts of like trying to reduce down or see if we can multiply both numbers by something. But cross products will always work. Okay, so we have a little guide over here to show you. Okay, write the equation. So I'm going to go straight into using it because there is space to work with it. If there is not space, then you want to rewrite your proportion. Okay, then we want to find our cross products. That's the step here that I'm going to do. I'm going to take and I'm going to multiply diagonally. So my 8 times A equals 11 times my 24. Now you can use the dot if you'd rather use that instead of using your parentheses. But when there's decimals around, I prefer to make sure that I use parentheses instead. Okay, so then we just got to come up with what this is. So 8a stays the same. But 11 times 24 is my 264. Now I'm going to change color just to show you exactly what we're doing here. Now I'm going to divide by 8. Why 8? Well, because that's what's with the variable, and that's what we want to isolate. Then we call it simplifying by getting our actual solution. So then A equals, if I take my 26/4, divide by 8, 8 goes in 26 3 times, and it goes into 24 3 times. Okay, so then A equals 33, and that is my solution, simplified. Okay, now we get sometimes there's decimals, and we have some that are struggling with multiplying with decimals and dividing with decimals. So we're going to make sure we do some of our work here. So I'm taking A times my 9.5. 9.5 A equals, and now take 7 times 1.5. Okay, so off to the side is where I'm going to do some of my actual work here. So I'm going to take my 1.5 times 7. Okay, 7 times 5 we know is 35. And then 7 is 1, 8, 9, 10. This is where some people are forgetting, oh yeah, we have to move that decimal 1/2. Ooh, let's go with the curvy line. So 9.5 A equals my 10.5. I don't think I have enough room to stay curvy. Okay, so now we're going to divide by your 9.5. 1 to cancel. Now this one can get a little tricky. So we're going to make sure we remember how to actually divide by decimals. Okay. And then we're going to round to the nearest hundredth if need be. Okay, so off to the side. Remember, your top number goes in the box. I've seen some of us even setting this up incorrectly. Now, I can't divide by decimal. So we have to move our decimal over. I might have needed more room over there. Oops. Let me erase that so that I can have enough room. Erase, erase. There we go. Let me make sure I got enough room. I don't have a paper that I can move over mine. Alright, so 10.5, 9.5. We're going to move our decimal over. Move our decimal over. My decimal goes straight above. I'm going to add a couple zeros. Alright, so 95 can't go in 10, but it can go into 105 one time. That gives me 10 left over. Bring down your other zero. The 95 goes into 100 one time. Nice, 95. Now, can 95 go into 50? No, it cannot. So I'm going to add another zero. The 95 can go into 500 5 times. And that's where I'm going to stop because that's all I need for knowing to round to the nearest hundredth. So my final answer, rounding to the nearest hundredth, this is my hundredth. I look at my 5 though after it. A equals 1 and 11 hundredths. I have to round up my 0 because there's a 5 after it. It's a big enough number that I can kick it over or kick it up. All right. So now we have some homework examples. Okay. I am going to help you with 1 and 2, 5 and 6. I want you to try 3, 4, 7, and 8 and see if you can do those on your own. Okay. All right. So let's walk through. Actually, I'm going to just do 1 and 5 since I'm doing them these 4 with you. Okay. How are we going to set this up? We have 5x and then 4 times 15. It's important to still write what you're multiplying just in case you made a multiplication error. At least then us as teachers can see what you're trying to actually multiply. Okay, so 4 times 5 is 20, so we get 60. Opposite of multiplication is our division. Division. All right, and then 5 goes into 60 12 times. And that's our answer. Okay? All right, decimals. And like I said, this is where a lot of kids are struggling, is with the decimals. So that's why I'm trying to help you with them. Remember, always try to go with whatever is diagonal with your variable first. Then your variable ends up on the left side. Then I do the other two numbers. 5 times 0.3. Okay, so if I have 0 and 3/10 times 5, okay, 3 times 5 is 15. That's 0 plus 1. Then I make 1/2. So there's a decimal. Oops. So 0. So 1/2 t equals 1.5. Then I gotta do my long division because I know I'm going to divide by my half to make those cancel. Okay, so 1/2 goes outside, a 15 inside. Move your decimal. Move your decimal. All right, 5 goes into 15 3 times. Okay. So t equals 3. Now, if I needed to, could I check my work? Yes, I most definitely could. Okay, we could put it back into our equation. You could check it that way, or you could put it back in the proportions and do your cross products. Okay? All right. Now I want you to try doing 3 on your own and 4 on your own. So pause this and then come back to it. All right. So hopefully you've already done this. You set up both of your equations. All right. So I did my cross products here. Then I also went in and divided. So when we divide by 16, it cancels it out. When we divide by 10, it cancels it out. So I got for my final answer, P equals 38 and R equals 5 6/10. All right. Let's see if you can figure out these two decimal ones. So pause it, then come back to check and see if you got the same answers that I did. All right. So now we have what you're actually multiplying. You took your 3b, and then you took your 6 times 2.5, and 3 times m, and 5 times 1.5. So our equations, 3b equals 15 or 3m equals 6. Then you had to do your division to cancel your 3's. And 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. All right. All right. So the remaining is part of your homework. Now, don't forget, when you go to set these up, a shop produces 39 wetsuits every 2 weeks. How long will it take the shop to produce 429 wetsuits? Okay, so we have our wetsuits over our weeks. So we started with 39 and we had 2. Well, we want to know our 429, but we need to know how many weeks that'll take. So that's how you set up your proportion. and then do your cross products and solve it. Okay, have a great day. Don't forget to do all your other problems. You got 8